it's difficult in the AV community. There's so much innovation going on, isn't there, that we're sometimes wowed with how amazing the technology is, and we forget there's also a whole thought out there that should be dictating how we use it, and the services that use it should be delivered and managed effectively, which is a very difficult thing to do. I'm just wondering what the next step is. I mean, we seem to be moving from componentry, exciting though it is, into software solutions and service delivery, which is where you've been for a long time. All the big users are, aren't they? What sort of solutions are we going to be seeing rolled out in AV? Are they going to be more intuitive? Are they going to be wireless? Are they going to be invisible? I mean, what sort of stuff can we expect to see in the office over the next year or two that is going to make AV wow a bit?
I think you're going to see a variety of different things. And the system integrators like us have to change so that they can offer a package to a client that's different for client A to client B. Somebody who's completely embraced networks and is willing to sit in the cloud, they lend themselves to having different ways to market. So we as system integrators would take responsibility for a host of services. Those might be products, they might be different services that we offer, and we package them up. And I would see more and more of those being sold on an operating budget rather than as a capital purchase. This means that for the client, they get a smoother cost return, so their ROI can be measured better, return on investment measured much better, and over a period of years, they can sit on a path with a supplier and say, we want to start here and end there. Show us a path that's most economic for us, but still takes into account the enhancement in technology as we go along. So that will change quite radically, I think, in the next few years. And as we move into the cloud, where it's genuinely in the cloud or the cloud on-premise, I think people will embrace more the technologies that are happening. The technologies become interlacing, such that you can string things together for a particular purpose, and they become simpler to operate. So they become for the user much more about, I want to do something that's more sophisticated, but I don't want to have to learn more to be able to do that. I want it to be intuitive, step into a room or a space, and it works for me, such that I can collaborate, which is very much a buzzword in AV at the moment, collaborate with my colleagues, whether they're in the room, in another country, or in another continent. We must get to the point where it's just easy to do, as easy as lifting a telephone and dialing a number.
Nigel, you finding that from your sphere?
I concur entirely. I think maybe easier than lifting a telephone and dialing a number, just lifting the telephone might be it. Or not even having to lift it, just walking into the room. Yeah, I mean, I completely endorse that, but I think...
Technologies, aren't you?
Well, we're seeing a great deal. And my personal background going back, decades...
Many years.
is from the IT angle. So what you said right at the very start of this wave was, are we moving from being component level in AV? Well, my original impression when we started to see AV increasingly from an IT perspective as consultants, because for a long time it just sat there as bang and hang, just screens on walls as part of FM. And as it started to move into the world of IT, I was astonished how it was still part number driven. And a lot of people in AV are still there. I still find, even going to the big shows, there's a lot of part numbers, there's a lot of component level discussion, which of course is important. You've got to make something work with those components. But when you look at how IT now behaves a lot of the time, it actually looks for a business outcome, and then it compiles the parts, maybe, that make that happen. Whereas I think AV still, to some degree at least, comes from the other direction, and it comes in silos, and quite often at sort of part number level. So a conversation with a business might be, do you think you need X matrix switches? And you can see people aren't understanding at all what that means. What they really want is to be able to have an outcome from their business, and that to be intuitive, simple, easy. And I think as things move forward, we'll see increasing levels of wired, wireless, but highly intuitive and almost invisible technology, so that you are able to book a meeting room with a video conference, and when you move into that room, the room knows you've arrived, the call's already set up, etc., etc. The lights are to your preference. We're starting to see those sort of things happening now, that overlap between what I would call smart building, AV and IT. It's got a way to go, but also the approach has got to be the right way.
We had a bit of a joke earlier on that whoever mentioned the word Internet of Things would get a fiver or something or other. But a lot of the Internet of Things stuff has been mentioned from all the major IT vendors. And in a way, that's a sort of Internet of Things type of environment where everything's intuitive, invisible, and you walk in and it just happens.
Yeah.
Are we being cynical here, or are we about to enter this IoT world where there's some marketing hype that's just been bandied around as a bit of a silly
I think we're on the cusp,
phrase.
but I think some of the approach has got to change. And so has, I mean, to do some of these things, quite often you're talking new buildings or new fit-outs, because it's too disruptive to just sort of do it in an existing environment. So if it's going into a new building and so on, it needs to be programmed in correctly, and I don't think that's there. IT's only starting to get there. AV is still something that people seem to say, well, we need 20 meeting rooms. We're not quite sure why we need 20 meeting rooms, but we need 20. And further down the path, let's have some AV in there then. It should be almost the other way. It should be informing how many meeting rooms you need, what sort of space you need. And it's that complete crossover between IT, AV and smart again.
I mean, it sounds like a complete can of worms, doesn't it, really? I mean, you've had such a complex installation, Deborah, haven't you? I mean, if anybody knows what intuitive means, it's probably you, isn't it?
I have to say that we're looking at things as AV and IT, and then apps in the middle, and the apps have to be intuitive. So, for instance, I mean, just today, apps have impinged on AV and IT. We've got a member on the stand. He's a little bit deaf in one ear. What does he do? He downloads an app, sticks his ears, the things into the phone, and then his hearing is immediately improved through an app, which is amazing. So what I worry about is that everybody will want to bring their own devices, and they're bringing 3 at the moment to every conference. They're using the wireless, obviously. We're having to upgrade all the wireless to make sure that all the access points are sufficient and the coverage is good and all the rest of it. And then they want to obviously use Crowd App and stuff like that to do their own audience response and their own microphones and everything, which kind of assumes that everyone's got a smartphone, assumes that everyone can respond. It's not really a level playing field. We've got obviously loads and loads of different devices, but it's difficult to explain to the client why they can't bring their own AV, because they've got the app. And that for us as a live events business is quite challenging, and we'd like to embrace it, but we're just a little bit scared of it at the same time because it's uncontrollable. And then just going back to matrix switchers, of course we're still using them, and going back to quad resolution and things like that. What we're using the pixels for is not to make wonderful soft blend, widescreen, content-driven images, but we just want to actually pip, so that we can get the head and shoulders shot of the speaker on the stage and their slides, which probably just says their name, but just something as simple as that, just to start everything going. And that's what the client's asking for. They're not saying we want quad resolution, we want loads of pixels to be able to do this. They just want to see that double image, which they will then webcast and run, and that's when IT are involved, webcast it straight onto the net and extend their community, extend the light of their event. If they extend the life, they make money.